Hello, everyone. If you are seeing my face on the screen at 5:30, that means it's time for a taste of Shabbat. I hope you have all had a nice week. This is our final Shabbat before Rosh Hashanah, which begins on Monday night. So I figured we could use a little bit of that nostalgic melody to get us ready for this final Shabbat before the holy days. Lai, 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 lai.
Another year is upon us.
I can't believe it's that time, but it is.
It is. Well, Shabbat Shalom. That was a perfect warm-up. I'm now ready for Monday night when we kick off Rosh Hashanah in the zone. All right, everyone. Well, there's been a lot going on around the world and around our country this week. Things down in Texas, of course, and then, of course, the South, and then the Eastern Seaboard with dealing with Hurricane Ida and us finalizing our withdrawal from Afghanistan. So lots going on just out there in the world. And of course, we've had our own surahs and all the other things that have kept us busy during this week. So this is your 15 minutes to make that separation from all of that stuff and move into a different space. So we'll start by lighting those candles and bringing some light into this space tonight.
I invite you to light with me from home. As Rabbi Joel mentioned, there's a lot going on in the world aside from COVID. And we have an opportunity to bring in that light. Oh, it's going to do it. It wants to. That light of Shabbat together. Bring that light in 3 times. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. For those of you joining from your Shabbat dining table, we'll join together in a little kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zeicher litziat mitzrayim kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat lechayim.
L'chaim.
Last but not least, we have a little motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. L'chaim, everyone. We're going to continue to welcome in Shabbat with the words of Shalom Aleichem. We invite these angels to come and join our family celebration and to bless our Shabbat full of goodness and peace and family and community. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
The most well-known symbol of this upcoming holiday, besides, of course, apples and honey and around challah, is the shofar. And so tonight, as we prepare for Rosh Hashanah, I wanted to give you a top 10 list. There are more than 10 meanings of the shofar, but I want you to listen to this list. I'll put them up on the screen one by one, and think about this year when you hear the shofar, which you will be doing from the comfort of your own home in whatever you choose to be wearing. Which of these meanings is going to speak to you? Which one do you want to focus on when you hear the shofar this year? So the first is the idea that the shofar helps us to shatter our complacency. There is, of course, the idea that the shofar can help to penetrate our innermost being and cause us to turn back to God, this idea of tshuva as really the catalyst for tshuva. It can alert us to the danger of the enemy, however you want to define what that enemy is. It can reveal to us the brokenness of our existence, both collective and personal. It can bring us back to a collective moment at Sinai, this idea that we are all in this together. It can renew our hope of the future gathering of the Jewish people, the fact that we are a diaspora people, and we can hope that one day there will be unification and that all the Jewish people will be together as one. It can make us tremble at the right moment, for the right reason, in the right spirit. It can remind us of the triumph of good over evil, of peace over war, of love over hate. With those blasts, it can shatter the shackles of human bondage and summon freedom for all, or it can awaken us from our slumber and inspire us to do our work in the world. Which of those 10 or other interpretations are you going to hold on to this year when you hear the shofar? Feel free to put them in the chat. Feel free to share them with your loved ones over the Shabbat, and of course, as we approach Rosh Hashanah. So with that, one of the things that we always listen for is not just the call of the shofar, but of course that inner voice, and we do that with the Shema, which we will continue with now.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
This week's Torah portion, Nitzavim, is one that actually is read sometimes also not just during the Shabbat, but also during the high holidays themselves. And One of the things that, of course, we as clergy are really focusing on right now is how do you make a tradition that is ancient, relevant in people's lives? How do you hold on to the melodies and the traditional elements of a service? And at the same time, how do you bring them into the modern world? Which, of course, this year we will be doing through live streaming, which is a different perspective than everyone sitting together in a sanctuary. Well, there's something that stood out to me in this week's Torah portion, something that I always hold on to at all times of the year, but something I wanted to share with you. It's a famous passage that talks about this idea that one of the most important things about our tradition is figuring out a way to draw it close to us, to not feel as though it is something that is far off and distant, or that it is for other people who are more religious to deal with or to absorb. But in fact, our Torah states that is not what Torah is meant to be. It is meant to be something very different. It says, surely the instruction, meaning Torah, which I enjoin upon you this day, is not too baffling for you, nor is it beyond reach. No matter what kind of Jewish background, if you hated religious school, this still applies to you. It is not in the heavens that you should say, who among us can go up to the heavens and get it for us and impart it to us that we may observe it? Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who among us can cross to the other side of the sea and get it for us and impart it to us, that we may observe it? No, the thing is very close to you, in your mouth and in your heart, to observe it. Torah, our tradition, is something that is supposed to be accessible and something that you can hold in your mind and in your heart. We're approaching the holidays. It's different than it was even last year and, of course, the year before that. But how in this year, and especially during these high holidays when you are going to be in a different space and you are going to be very tempted to go off and start eating in the middle of services. Believe me, if I had that opportunity, I would, but I will be leading services, right? What are you going to do to really create a space for yourself and for the people around you to really try and have a meaningful high holiday experience this year? How can you draw our tradition close to you? In a modern, technologically savvy world where we aren't going to be physically together, can you figure out a way that that tradition doesn't feel like it's far off, doesn't feel like it's on the other side of town, but instead is right there with you? That's what this Torah portion is trying to remind us, not just for the high holidays, but every single day we have the opportunity to draw our tradition close to us. With that in mind, let's continue with just a moment of silent reflection.
We're going to end our time together this evening with the words of Oseh Shalom. May the one who brings peace in the heaven bring peace to us here on earth. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova. We look forward to celebrating with you even through the internet. Shabbat shalom.
Shana Tova, everyone.
Shana Tova.